Been about a year and a half since we had the cap rail and handrail stripped and revarnished. This is 7 coats of a 2-part varnish, and you can see I've got some dings and scuffs. So I'm going to have the same painter come out and patch all the spots that are worn down, and then he'll lightly sand the rail and cap rail and apply 2 coats of 2-part varnish. The window trim varnish is about 2 years old. It's been under canvas for most of its life. I did this myself. This was just a single part satin finish varnish. So my plan for the windows now is to have them stripped, primed, and I'm going to go with a high gloss all grip paint and just make all of my window trim and the side door white. Moving up to the quarter round and eyebrow, this is a 2-part epoxy. This was the first boat project we tackled when we bought the boat. I hired a guy on the dock to do the work. He insisted 2-part epoxy was the way to go, not varnish. I've since learned 2-part epoxy doesn't adhere well to teak due to the oil content, and 2-part epoxy also doesn't have a UV protection. So if you're going to go with an epoxy, you need to build up with varnish, then the epoxy, and then finish with another coat of varnish for the UV protection. So the eyebrow will be stripped and primed and painted high gloss white, and the half round piece of teak trim, I'm going to keep that varnished with the 2-part 7 coats. I think that'll look nice, and keep just a little bit of that wood trawler charm, but without the never-ending varnish maintenance I have now. Moving on to waxing, I've been working my way around the boat sections at a time. I've fumbled along and narrowed down a process using 3 steps here. Step 1, I'm using an oxidation remover from Meguiar's, number 49. Second pass with a second pad of polish. I've been experimenting with different brands. And then finishing up with a pass of 56 Meguiar's, just pure wax. This is the house. I waxed this, it's been 3 years. You can see some of the oxidation here, and it's still got some wax down by the port light. It's hard to see on camera, but it's very, very chalky. And then this aft cabin section I've already buffed and waxed. You can see a nice shiny mirror finish. Did a pretty good job. This aft cabin 3 sides took me about 3.5 hours with a few breaks. 2 passes with oxidation remover, 1 to 2 passes of polish, and finishing up with 2 passes of wax. The starboard side cabin, I did this in another session. I think this one took me about 2 hours, maybe 2.5, getting a little more efficient. So step 1, shake up the oxidation remover. I'm using a variable speed buffer, 7-inch pad, and I just squirt a bunch of this stuff on the side. And then I run the buffer initially at a very slow setting. I think there's 7 speeds on this thing, and I run it down near number 1, 1.5. And then I'm finding there's a whole technique and art form to just how much moisture you use for each process. The oxidation remover definitely needs the pad to be wet, and the side of the boat a little wet, but if it's too wet it slings it all over the place and destroys your sunglasses. So after a pass of oxidation remover, soap it up and scrub it all off. And a thorough rinse to get all of the grit away. Next, wait for the water to dry a bit, and then I go around and visually inspect all the work areas and verify I've removed the majority of the chalkiness, or at least lightened it significantly. And anywhere that it's not shiny or almost shiny, I just go back with another pass of oxidation remover at a slow buff speed. So next I use a rag and apply a liberal amount of polish, which from what I understand is just a finer grit of material to get the next pass of a smoother surface, buffing away oxidation and roughness. And I run the pad at a little bit higher speed for this. I think I'm between 2 and 3, maybe 4. Each type of compound requires a different amount of wetness to keep it lubricated. Watching this video, I realize I am working way too fast. I was in a hurry, I had to get going, but at the time I didn't realize I was rushing the machine so much. I need to slow down and let that pad do the work instead of burning out my arms and having to spend more time in each section. So you can see here, once it's polished, it's got that nice mirror finish. It essentially looks like it's been waxed. But from what I understand, the wax is the magic step that keeps the oxygen off the gel coat and prevents things from oxidizing. Once I get the boat all waxed out, my plan is to keep on it and every couple of months apply a fresh coat of wax, so I never get in this situation again where I have all this chalky oxidation that requires grinding away the gel coat, because it's already getting pretty thin in a lot of areas. Next step, clean rag with fresh water, and I just work my way around the surface to remove any remaining grit. And finally, step 3, applying wax. So I use a damp rag and wax on. Wax off with the buffer at the highest speed setting. Not max speed, but just spinning faster than for the polishing round. And I just adjusted it until it feels right. You know, I'm not burning anything, and it's taking away the wax and leaving behind a shiny finish. And for the waxing pass, dry pad. And you just wait for the wax to chalk up and be dry to the touch, but not so dry that it's baked on. And that is 4 years of hurting my back and shoulders and trying to figure out how to wax and finish fiberglass. I'm going to keep on it now and apply fresh wax every couple of months and hopefully never have to go through this process again on this particular boat. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.